Hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. We are up to 852 subscribers. Thank you for those who joined us overnight, and I hope you'll stick around and watch more of these videos. So in Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, I'm doing a project where I'm reviewing 100 short stories by Ray Bradbury. Today's story will be number 41 in this collection, and it is called The Witch Door, which was written in 1995. In 1999, Robert and Martha Wells have held up in an old New England farmhouse. They fled the political upheaval, the riots, the starvation, the death that has overtaken the rest of the world. They're waiting for the arrival of their friend Lottie, who is now also on the run. But they've been there for 6 months and they've realized that the house is haunted. At night they hear sounds rapping and tapping in the walls and occasionally crying. But the house has a curious bit of architecture, a place called a witch door, which opens up into a crawl space, and allegedly in the 1680s they hid witches there to avoid persecution in the witch trials. The door eventually is opened, and a woman who possibly was living in there with a Bible and with a rocking chair and with a few old odd items. She escapes, runs out into the snow, and disappears and is gone. But soon they see Lottie arriving in her car pulling up the driveway. Following close behind Lottie is an angry mob of people who are searching for her. And now they realize they have a place to hide her. They put the woman Lottie into the witch door. They sealed up behind her, and it looks like there's nobody there to be found, no empty spaces. But then Lottie vanishes, and Robert and Martha theorized that the witch, or the woman who came out of the wall, was in fact a witch who had been basically passed through a gateway and had been in hiding since 1680. So like behind that wall was her world. And they theorized that now Lottie, having vanished, is trapped in the world of 1680. And there's a cool dichotomy because this woman who has escaped from 1680, having been called a witch, she's going to be very out of place in the modern world of 1999 because obviously she's dressed in old clothing. She's going to be speaking differently and be considered peculiar and an outcast to the world. Likewise, Lottie, who was wearing a modern dress, makeup, jewelry, and all the refinements of modern society, will no doubt be seen as a witch and will certainly be prosecuted herself in the world of 1680. So I like this story. It reminds me sort of like H.P. Lovecraft light. He has a story, The Witch Dreams in the Witch House, which kind of reminds me of that. But I could also see this probably more in line with like an episode of The Twilight Zone. It has that sort of more playful vibe, which is common to Ray Bradbury. I love the dichotomy of the fact that there is always some sort of witch trial going on. In the 1600s, it was women being persecuted as witches, but now in 1999 of the story, it is political persecution for those who, dare to have differing views than whoever is in power at the time. So somebody is always being persecuted by the mob, being made the scapegoat, and this story never gets old. We see that happening to this day. Many people from different groups, I won't name any right now, but you can use your imagination. You know who's being persecuted in 2020. I think it's pretty cool that it's pretty much a dystopian story set in 1999, which was several years after the story was written, but it also contrasts with the witch trials of 1680. I think that's neat. You don't see that much. Typically, the dystopian stories are set in the just slightly distant future and deal with sort of more modern problems. I think it's pretty cool to sort of meld the modern era with the colonial era in this way. But I like it. It's a fun story. Gives you something to think about. I'll be pondering this one for a little while. Part of me does wonder, however, would this be a better story were it written in a more serious tone, more like Lovecraft, darker, more terrifying? Or does it only work because of Ray Bradbury's trademark playful style? Does that playful style sort of lull the reader into being accepting of this sort of absurd situation? I tend to think that may be the case, but I would be interested in sort of reading or writing a darker version of this type of story, just to see how it works out, to see if it still is able to act as a vessel for the message that is being presented by Bradbury. So, The Witch Door, 1995, episode 40 of Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. I'll be back soon with another short story called The Watchers, rather. Please subscribe, leave a comment below if you like. Please be polite, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon.